Hey there, welcome back to the Fanboy Cantina. It's been a while since we've done a live stream, and as always, we're joined here by Mr. C. Mr. C, how are you doing today?
Now that I think I got myself centered, I'm doing just fine. A couple of seconds of disorientation and confusion there. Hey, it's a good, we got a little bit of rain, we got a little bit of on again, off again clouds, but overall, it's a cool breeze, summertime way to be. So happy to come by the home field court, the Fanboy Cantina channel, and do a little conversation, little secret invasion.
Secret invasion, indeed. So for today, we're getting together to talk about episode one of Secret of Secret Invasion, and which is currently on Disney Plus, a 6 episode series. And I am stuck with this thing up. How do I get this thing? Oh, there it goes. It went away. All right. It's like riding a bike.
Yes,
Yeah, sort of. Not really.
without the wheels.
Without the wheels. I tell you, I'm a little discombobulated because I got this.
Oh, and
And it was good at first. The Grimace Shakes. This is the Grimace Shake currently at McDonald's, and it's for a limited time. They gouge you on this thing. You can't buy this thing by itself, and so you gotta get like a meal. Anyways, it was fine at first for the 5 or 6 sips, and then yeah, it's not fine anymore. It's kind of nasty. It's like what if you had breakfast cereal like the 80s sugared up, rot your teeth in your mouth cereal, and then ground it up with a shake. That's what you're drinking here.
there
Anyways.
goes our McDonald's endorsement, but the truth calls
Yeah.
calls to be known.
Hit the like and yeah, please McDonald's hit the like and subscribe.
Now, on the other
Oh my
hand,
goodness.
Funko Grimace, hey, he captures all the fun of character Grimace. So
Very nice. Very nice. All right, so we're getting together to talk about Secret Invasion episode 1 here, and so it's typical format that we've had here, Mr. C. Overall impressions, and then we'll get into some of the specifics. If you're watching live, post in the chat, or if you're watching later, post in the chat because we'd love to continue the conversation with you. So what do you think? What did you think? It's been a bit since the last Marvel Disney Plus series. What did after some months since I think She-Hulk, right? It's been a number of
sounds
months.
right.
Uh,
Sounds right.
um, what did you think of episode 1 of Secret Invasion?
Well, from the very first minute, it's got a little bit of an espionage, a little bit of a thriller. Uh, Definitely, Shield itself is an espionage agency, so it's right up the plate with all that stuff. And so I was in. Were they building intrigue? And as a, now, at the time I watched, I had not gone back into the comics to check what tones or characters or overlap or carryover items there are or were from the actual comic books. So I didn't have because it came out in 2008. So I didn't have a frame of reference in my head. I was just going in kind of cold. And start to finish, I was there for it. I was appreciating it. How about you? What was your overall, or what was your initial read?
So my predisposition was to like it anyway. I've missed the Shield aspects of the MCU. It's been years now since the cancellation or the end of the Agents of Shield series, which I did enjoy. Not every season was great, but overall I did enjoy that series. And I definitely enjoyed earlier in the MCU where we got to see more of the of Shield, more of Shield. And then Shield I think got disbanded and now we're at whatever we're at, or I don't really understand where we're at with the presence or the existence of Shield. Um so I've wanted a return of Shield or this spy line storyline. this is what I was looking for. Obviously, with the MCU, you've got a lot of superheroes, but this type of story I was looking forward to. Also, in that series, Winter Soldier is still one of my favorite. Probably still number one favorite of the MCU films. So I'm predisposed to like it, and here I was not disappointed. I really enjoyed Secret Invasion. It's not perfect so far, but I really enjoyed it. S Yeah.
Speaking of source material, you were big on the introduction of the Winter Soldier character with Ed
Yep.
Brubaker at the writing credits in the Captain America books that were again roughly of that time, your 2008s and prior. So it was again a great translation from page to screen of the Winter Soldier, and I would say now also we're having a greater reinterpretation from the source material to the title that's on the screen. But I remain connected and I remain appreciative.
So I think we're going to talk about comics at some point here, but if I remember right, and it's been a decade plus, more than that, since the whole Skrull invasion storyline and the rise of the Thunderbolts after it. I think I can't even tell you what year this was, but from my vague recollections of the Skrull invasion storyline in the comics, I enjoyed that story. I thought it was interesting. I thought it was intriguing as a story. So I that element too, the core Skrull invasion or wherever the story is going to take us. Yeah, I'm in for it. I like it.
Again, from the source material where the
Yeah.
Skrulls first appeared in the early Fantastic Four. So now we're looking at the early 1960s and the themes being expressed from horror comics, monster comics. Again, if on the Marvel side of things, Fantastic Four issue one was a restart on superhero genre stuff. I mean, Marvel was through the 50s when they were known as Atlas, running westerns and romance comics and uh, suspense and other things that were not superhero focused. So thematically, we're now in the general same time frame of the Twilight Zone, and
Hmm.
absolutely, the Twilight Zone covered alien invasion on a semi-regular basis. The Twilight Zone TV show made bread and butter off of exploring different aspects of aliens interacting with humans, and there was a big thing through 50s also. So, of course, a little bit of fearfulness, a little bit of paranoia, but are you paranoid if they're really after you? So it's playing on that kind of a mystery as well as a. So we got some bits of spy things going on and some bits of alien mystery going on. So I'd say it was well integrated and blended together in a way that worked for me.
So with this, when we talk about these shows on this channel, we try to avoid doing the recap bit, right? Because it just takes forever to talk it through, and you end up reliving the whole episode, which is a fine approach if for other channels, if that's what you do, it's perfectly fine. We typically don't do this here, but from the jump with this series, where you immediately get thrust into the storyline where you're immediately there's a bit of a conspiracy feeling kind of thing, a bit of a clearly the spy thing. I think that this episode was among the best kind of like starts of it. Now I do know, because I do appreciate that, looking at Twitter comments and other, Agent Ross, tertiary character, right? It's just some people didn't vibe with him in Black Panther, and right, it's only about Black Panther. I think he appears. Didn't connect with him. Didn't connect with Maria Hill from like now years ago. So I can understand why this may be not somebody's thing, but yeah, and also post in the comments if I have screwed up in my basic remedial memories of the Skrull invasion. I think I leaped over a few arcs. Anyways, in the comments here, Junkyard says, "I'm not a Skrull, so thank you. Glad to hear that. Although, are you?
But how do we know?
I don't know.
I mean, who would be a Skrull and say, I'm here to be a Skrull? Camel. All right,
Exactly."
good. If they
Jim
were to
Campbell
pull
asks,
Super
"Will there be
Skrull,
a Super Skrull?" Go ahead.
my speculation, Mr. Campbell, as we enter Campbell's Corner, as we've frequently visited Campbell's Corner,
Hmm.
if there is going to be a Super Skrull, I'm thinking that's going to be a Fantastic Four at the theater and not a Disney Plus home theater bit. And who knows which way it'll go? You know, you definitely want to introduce a Doctor Doom somewhere, but if we're looking at top 10, top 5 greatest rivals of the Fantastic Four, you got to put the Skrulls in general, and maybe Super Skrull gets its own place marker that way also. But I would say Super Skrull would be most likely debuted at the movie house and not through Disney Plus.
Production quality wise, I was also impressed by this episode. Right, there are moments where it does feel smaller screen. The the streets are a little bit vacant, or there's other kind of like tweaks to the story where, oh, okay, so nobody's going to tell Nick Fury not to go outside, and what, why is he doing that? So there's some like shortcuts of storytelling in this thing that happen, but overall quality wise, it felt up there. It's not a film. It's not the full-blown film at all. But production quality wise, I'm impressed. I felt as though at times when they're much of this episode, or all of this episode, takes place in Moscow or somewhere in Russia. And it may be as simple as set dressing to make sure you have the very large uh, signs in Cyrillic. I felt like they executed it well. Anyways,
Yeah, never
but
been
I
to
agree with you.
Moscow. Might never make it.
But if it was
Uh,
persuasive enough, that's all that
so
matters.
I can't say, oh, this wasn't. Yeah, I couldn't identify, oh, this doesn't look like a Moscow scene. So it was convincing enough. It worked.
Convincing enough. And
I was wondering about the taxi, though.
the what?
The taxi. So the taxi had an
Oh,
area
the
code
taxi.
of 401 in front of it. So that was I suppose I could Google that and see what our Russian telephone area codes,
Yeah.
if 401 is actually a code that they use.
Yeah, I mean, my Russian is increasingly terrible and now at this point, but I could read. Oh, it says steakhouse in the back. Yeah,
All
like,
right.
oh, so I could read that much. Um, in the comments, Jim Campbell asks, "Is there a name for Skrulls who have kids with humans, the offspring?" Hmm. I don't know the answer to
Good
this.
question. And again, can't, man, I think you're fucking over here, Phil, but I gotta say, I have no idea, Jim. I got no idea. Jim sending me into the research library to put it together. I'm, I'm stumped on this one.
Hmm. Yeah, but it does make you wonder. So, if I understand where that question may be leading, is there any kind of significance with of the characters that we've seen thus far? Is there? I don't remember Gravik from Captain Marvel, and I tried to quickly IMDb. I don't think that character appears in that movie. Um, but it made you wonder, just sort of, passage of time. How old is Gravik? Could it be that there's a special connection between Nick Fury and that Skrull? I don't know. Um,
Oh, that
because
would
there is
be
that. Well, because there is that, because there is the father-daughter relationship between Talos and Gira. Could there be that same,
wow.
similar relationships happening?
That did not occur to me at all. But we got how many more episodes? You know.
5 more to go. 5 more to go.
All right, so
Uh,
we'll find out.
So let's see. In the comments, Junkyard says, "I'm not a fan of the show, mostly because without your explanations, Fanboys G and Mr. C, I don't want to fill in the gaps as you mentioned with the shortcuts with reading the comics." Yeah, and I guess just to explain my comment there a little bit further, it just felt like there were, and it wasn't directly tied to the comics in my comment there. It was just that, oh, so it just felt like a little bit sloppy storytelling, a little bit sloppy. Could there have been a better way to tell it? Do you think that the MI6 person is not going to be, suspicious that Nick Fury is just sort of putzing around in the corner and doesn't see the camera? Okay, well, all right, sure, fine, we'll still believe it.
Right. It's what do you want to give suspension of disbelief to now, right? You can say, would Nick Fury have stepped out into the street to take his walk? Sounder judgment would have called for him to stay put, but then that doesn't set up that scene if he doesn't go out and about. And same thing, logic would tell you that as they were having that spy banter, or that I'm not going to directly answer your question, but I'm looking to read your set of cards to see who's got the better hand to play, kind of a arrangement between two somewhat collegial but somewhat distrustful different spy factions. So that's a lot going on. But yeah, I mean, it would make sense if they checked the little owl statue to see if there was a camera inserted or excellent owl impression there. That was real good. So, but then to come back to Junkyard's point here, I can tell you, you could get in book one, you could get in the trade paperback, you could get some historical Brian interviews. It's not going to help you for nothing because as I'm trying to tenderly turn the page on this aged book here. Oh, of course we got an ad on the inside cover. That should be a surprise. But we got another. So opening with Skrulls instead of opening with Iron Man, and so Elektra was last seen in the Ben Affleck Daredevil, or also in the Netflix Daredevil, but she has yet to be incorporated into the main MCU. So we're not looking at Robert Downey Jr. here, and I've forgotten. We're not for sure not looking at Jennifer Garner. I forget the other actress who played Elektra. So, but right here, you got some dinosaurs incorporated. So all this do I show to say we're way off base from what the source material did under the same title of Secret Invasion. So we can read and reread the comics. It's not going to help us sort this one out.
Yeah, I understand that for Deadpool 3, there may be a cameo by Ben Affleck as Daredevil. That blows my mind. I enjoyed Daredevil. I don't think it's perfect. The longer director's cut is better than what we got. But yeah, I got mixed feelings about Jennifer Garner as Elektra. I don't know if that.
Despite your recommendation from long ago, I still have yet to look at the director's cut of the Daredevil motion picture. So hey, summertime's a more open schedule. I should get to that.
There you go. All right, so we got and in the comments, yes, the Russian was much better in this show from the insignificant comparators compared to many shows. Yes, I appreciated the my Russian is terrible, but I appreciated the authenticity of Nazarovia, that were the cheers and other times throughout the episode. Is it like a Winter Soldier vibe? And yes, I think it is. I think it's pretty close. Yeah.
Now, Junkyard, I'm good with your response right there, and I'm in agreement with it. But you had an opportunity to be like, "Damn it, Jim, I'm not a fill in the blank. I'm anyway." But good. And as I'm saying, as I'm working my University of Chicago coffee mug here. But that's why it's good to have a conversation and have different opinions, right? If we're all 100% in agreement about everything. That can still be entertaining, but that's not really so much of an exchange of different viewpoints. So I'm good to have Junkyard's overall read, but then, gee, when you said you liked it, I was like, okay, good. It's not just me. So anyway, but I would ask Junkyard if he's able to answer. So speculating, because we're not the casting staff and all that, do you think they found native speakers of Russian or people who are at the very least long-term fluent and had a cultivated accent to read off those lines? And then by contrast, Junkyard, how would you say that Nick Fury, Sam Jackson did on his accent? I think he probably gave it some due diligence, but obviously was sounding like an American speaker working on speaking a different language. And G, same question to you. What was your take on the accentery?
Well, for my ear, I thought it was okay. You know, you have Oscar winner Olivia Colman in an MCU series as Sonia Farnsworth, I think is her name, as the MI6 agent. Fallsworth, thank you. And I thought, I thought her little bit of Russian was persuasive enough. I thought Samuel L. Jackson was kind of on thin ice in the bar, but it was compelling enough,
as he should be.
As he should be, and or for that matter, Agent Hill, Maria Hill, saying "Rukia," to put hands up, your hands. So I don't know what hands up are, but I know what the Russian word for hand is. So I understood at least, but I'm not a native speaker, obviously. So considering as a TV show, it was better than many, I thought.
Yeah.
And it was Elodie Young who is much better than Garner. Yeah.
And we're not getting that McDonald's endorsement. We're not getting that Jennifer Garner endorsement.
Yeah. And validation. Sam Jackson was horrible with Russian. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
But by design.
Yeah. So I feel like there's a number of. I think as a first episode, it does its job. A number of questions about, is Gravik the big bad? It seems like they've set him up to be the big bad in this series. I think they've done a good job of laying the stakes out there, and it's been 30 years since or Nick Fury made the promise to find a place for the Skrulls, and there still isn't one yet.
Yeah.
I think they did a good job of setting the table in this episode. Oh, and I just want to do a shout out to Podcast of the Wills. Hey there, it is great to have you. This is special. I got to meet Nick. Meet Nick out at Star Wars Celebration last year, and it's a joy to have him here.
Well, we know what John Cusack has to say about somebody named Nick, right? Nick's your reliable, Nick's your buddy, Nick's your pal. Good on it to have Nick around.
Question from Jim Campbell. Is this Jackson's first TV show? Wow, that's a tough one.
I kind of want to deflect this question to Junkyard, but I will say that as far as sparse appearances, it might have been one single, it might have been a couple here and there. Sam Jackson did pop in on the ABC produced Shield TV show, which again, now if season 7 was the final season and that's well in the rearview mirror, I could look it up, but if season 7 is well past us, then season 1 was 7 years on top of that. So that's a long ways back. So Jackson, this might be his most regular non-screen work. Non-cinema.
Yes. I want. So I want to get to like the dangling questions that are out there, at least at this point. But there's this thing, unfortunately, about the series already, and it's about the intro. So no matter what the quality is of the TV show itself, the substance of the show, and the episodes yet to come, there is this unfortunate distraction or taint with it. And maybe it's appropriate that this is distracting from the dialogue. It's this intro sequence. So a lot of comments about the ridiculous intro sequence that's used in the series. So, unlike many other things by Disney and within the MCU, this is the first one I think that's entirely AI generated. And AI has these AI images. I think we've all seen like different treatments, right? Sometimes it's kind of compelling. You've got the deep fake technology where you can put, Tom Cruise's face onto Robert Downey Jr. And it's like, oh, okay, well, it seems pretty close. And then you've got other cases where it's a little bit rough, like in what was I think? Oh, anyways, so uh, there are appropriate times, or excuse me, there are times where the AI seems to be pretty close, and then there are other times where you see, women with six fingers or three arms somehow, or a Disney Plus series. So, Mr. C, what's your vibe? What did you think about the introduction to the series, and what do you think about maybe AI as a tool in general?
All right, so let me start with the image itself. Does the
Yeah,
image itself create the implication, the possibility? Look,
yeah,
here's Nick Fury, but if we peel away at Nick Fury, is he really a Skrull? And just use of color. Again, I'm not an art school person, but the
yeah.
Skrulls having a green skin tone to them, so it's a excellent use of green. The lighting, and if this is the only pull you have, that it still encapsulates what all the rest of the opening credits were. It looked, if you will, a bit alien. It looks quirky, wouldn't even be the right word. There's a certain effect that comes from the line work, the angles. It's really not a straightforward human physics going on there. So, does it achieve what it's trying to achieve? To me, yes. Is it good art to my eye, well constructed? Yes. Is it somewhat even referential, or has a similar tone to the Lionel Francis Yu original art?
Hmm.
So if we can, yeah. So I will say yes. I will say absolutely. However, I heard the way it was phrased was that since it is an AI generated art, they said that no actual artists were replaced because they chose to use an AI production. I don't even know what to call it, device, process,
Hmm.
technique. Okay, so
Hmm.
maybe no artists were replaced, but then for sure, for that opening credit bit, an artist wasn't used. And I don't know how busy uh, you is these days. Uh, you know, it looked kind of like his stuff, so why not get the guy who did it the first time around to do the opening credits? I mean, who am I to give notes to Feige or anybody else? But would have been cool to see the original artist come forth on the movie credits. I would say for some of the other stuff, without knowing who to give credit to for creating the opening credits, I would say other stuff has shown influence of Jeff Loeb. I should Jeff Loeb when he's on the writing and Tim Sale on the art. I've seen Tim Sale influence on other Tim Sale's art, I should say, on other opening credits or other things. So
Hmm.
to me, it makes sense to go back and at least do a consult with, if not hire directly on the artist who came around the first time.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that missed opportunity to go back to the original artists. Junkyard writes, I thought the intro art was something like from the 70s series Night Gallery. Yeah, at first blush, I thought it looked a little bit rough and odd. It felt like if it felt like these AI generated images that don't quite look right. Um, I think, though, it could have been packaged in a way that would have sold me a little bit better. There is something, the theme of this series is about, can you believe that person is who they say they are? Is this truly the human being, or is it a scroll? Is it an impersonator? And to some degree, with the AI technology, we are running into this real world challenge of being able to, can you trust what you see with your own eyes, actually, right? Can we trust that that is actually Tom Cruise in the Iron Man suit? No, it's challenging based on the evolution of technology. So there could have been, if that was the point, there could have been an interesting explanation of, why they went that direction, to use AI as um, a metaphor or an allegory. Bad in English, with I think it's metaphor. Using it as a metaphor for AI technology, it could have been interesting, but instead it was, I think, a cost-cutting move, and it's just really, really unfortunate. And hey there, Pete, this is really cool. This is Pete Fletzer and the SSW Network around the galaxy. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being here. It's a treat to have you. Um, so anyways, just about this intro piece. So there could have been something interesting, and then I'm going to add on to one thing that you're saying here, Mr. C. Yeah, I think it's pervasive across all of these Disney Plus series, where the origins of the MCU are on comics. They're based on the comic books that have creators behind them, artists in them. And we've got Echo coming up later this year, right? And so somebody posted on Twitter, and I amplified it as well. And hopefully there's more momentum than just two people tweeting about things. But I are they not going to have David Mack do the intro to Echo? And that would be gross because he's the creator of Echo, So, yeah, I'll just add what you said about the missed opportunity of using the original artists is unfortunate.
And Mac being pretty unique in his style, or at least
Yeah.
there are a few who achieve and utilize his exact methodology, if he's not completely unique. Again, we're looking at choices and angularity and disproportioning to create a tone and an image. So I really hope that we get to see Mac's actual stuff attached to the forthcoming work. And I'll go as far as to say, I see in a backdrop somewhere David Mack having a coffee in the same way that they utilize Stan to be a well-renowned cameo person. Let's see, if Chris Claremont can take the lawnmower out or the water hose, I forget which one it is in the X-Men pictures, then let David Mack have a sip of coffee somewhere in what's coming out next.
Give them a cameo and make sure they pay the artists. That's all I'm asking. And Pete says, that is a great call, Mr. C.
Much appreciated, Pete.
So there, with questions, all right, so we talked about the intro thing. There's a bunch of questions, and just with that image, and I'll flip it back up here, it just sort of leads you to wonder this core question: is Nick Fury a Skrull? What's your impression? What's your take? Because there's so much there's so much here, right? There's, huh, Nick Fury doesn't seem to be the same guy that he used to be after the blip. Something has changed. The Nick Fury that I knew would have been 3 steps ahead. You shouldn't have just gotten jumped on by the MI6 while being in the street. What were you thinking? So, is it an act, or is he not himself after the blip, or is he not who we think he is?
So there's some kind of a possibility of a red herring out there. And let's say before you can approach that red herring, there's the trail
Uh-huh.
of breadcrumbs. So choose
Yeah.
wisely which trail of breadcrumbs before we all end up on a red herring or before we end up on the real conclusion. So I think it's believable considering age and the MI6 commentary, the Fallsworth Sonia Fallsworth character commenting on you're not the man you used to be. Well, who amongst us is? Look, take anyone, if we're going to be somewhat reality based, take anyone in their moment of greatest defeat, and then
Hmm.
who were they before and who were they after? Are you going to have as much fire in the belly, to borrow some Coach Ditka terminology? Are you going to have as much ability to just be linear and go from A to B from where you are to the goal? It's believable that a real, true Nick Fury would be changed by a significant defeat in battle. Now, is it also believable that Nick Fury is a force movable object all on one guy, and that this what we're seeing is real Nick Fury? That's also possible. I think regionalized with that, would it be of terrorize of shock at the movie house if they reveal Nick Fury to be a Skrull? And so let me say, for at least 3 seconds of screen time, there were two Nick Furies, and one of them was supposedly the real one, and another one was a Skrull Fury. So that did happen, but I'm for the shock value of it, I would be okay with that. But just in the old ticker here is hoping that we're looking at the real and true Nick Fury. How do you answer your own question?
Well, so Jim Campbell reminds, so trying to catch up on comments. Didn't Talon pretend to be Fury in Captain Marvel movie already? I think it was. I was trying to remember which movie that was. I think it was not Homecoming, Far From Home, the second of the Spider-Man
There it
movies.
is. There it is.
Right. So I think that shows up where that wasn't really Nick Fury. It was instead Talos impersonating or being Nick Fury, while the real Nick Fury was out in space creating Saber. So we've already seen in the MCU a non Nick Fury here, and then also it feels like I, I think there's an eye patch Fury and a non eye patch Fury. Uh, Maybe
I
there's
propose the
a
pitch.
few Furies, many life. So in the Agents of Shield, they did introduce the life model decoy. So that could be. Yes, that's not a Skrull. It's just another way to impersonate people. Could be a thing. Mr. C is a is a Skrull calling in from space. Yeah, yeah. Take that mask
See,
off.
the clue is my own. So my green shirt choice, my reverence for the creature of the Black Lagoon, it's, it's all evidence. Those are the correct breadcrumbs to correctly ID me as a Skrull. Now,
That's right.
am I a Skrull that's on the side of Talos, or am I a Skrull that's really mad for some of my guys got turned into cows by Reed Richards back in the '60s in the comics? Time will tell. Where's
Oh
where's my
man.
Skrull mask? Where's my
Well,
Skrull mask?
yeah, I was thinking I wish I had a Skrull mask of myself. Uh, so I don't think it's a Skrull. I think it is actually Nick Fury, the Nick Fury that we that we know of. Yeah, so it yeah, and there's a lot of room for them to play on this series for sure. Yeah, no, I absolutely agree with that. I wouldn't be surprised if we got the head fake of that. Is he not? That would seem like an obvious storyline plot. I do. Okay, so maybe a bit spoilery here, but a certain character does get shot at the end of. I think we could talk about it.
Oh,
We called
go.
it spoiler chat on this thing.
Yeah,
So um, uh, I really liked the Maria Hill character. I
yeah.
thought Colby Smulders did a good job with the character. She does play a different type of Maria Hill than the kind of hard person that exists in the comics. But I thought she did a great job. And in this in the final moments of that first episode, she's seemingly killed. Um, do you think there's a chance she's coming back, Mr. C?
Well, I'm really hoping that the Colby Smothers in character that we see at the end there uh, with the bullet wound. I'm really hoping that is a life model decoy and not the actual Maria Hill. But again,
Yeah.
that's all part of the bait and switch
Mhm.
or setup and call and response. So clearly, across the 5 other episodes, they're creating one of many debates. Is this the real Maria or is it not? Is she dead or is she coming back? Other characters have been well known to rise up from the grave in comics, and some don't. But I would hope it's a life model decoy and not real dead gone Maria Hill.
Yeah, and maybe this is a good time to just about the divergences from the comics. I think it's fine, right? It just is. There's certain things where we're at with storytelling and where they are at with a franchise, this behemoth of creating content, creating TV shows, creating movies, where they need to figure out the storyline that makes sense. Then there are unfortunate consequences. We're in a world where there is no Black Widow anymore. Seemingly, it doesn't look like there's going to be a Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man ever, or any Iron Man in the series going forward. And we will probably not see a Maria Hill Director of Shield storyline because, again, I don't know if there is a Shield anymore, and the character appears dead. There is an article on Marvel.com with an interview. With Colby Smulders, and it does sound like that's the end of the character. Could be a head fake, could be a super spy kind of head fake thing, but I think she's gone, and that's unfortunate. All right, so other questions that you've got at the moment here. It's setting the stage. Dude, maybe Nick Fury may or may not be a Skrull. Other questions.
Well, other question, like the ultimate question to borrow from whichever Phil Collins video that was. So how does it end? Like what? I mean, because we know the ending is also going to be a setup for future Marvel things. How does it end is my first question, and then what what precedes the ending? So if I were to check IMDb or if I had done homework on it, then that could give us a better jumping off point to speak about what other cameo appearances are coming up. But we're not expecting Robert Downey Jr. We're not expecting a Hemsworth. We're not expecting Chris Evans. We're not expecting Paul Rudd. So I think then we have a similar experience to the ABC Shield TV show where your primary protagonists are Shield agents. So I'm expecting more intentional confusion and more espionage, and again that I would like to see this groove or this niche further manifested, where you're taking espionage and spy elements and intermingling it with those fear of alien invasion elements, and I'd like to see more conversation between Fury and Fallsworth. What do you got?
Yeah, I wonder if at the end of this series, building on your how does it end? Is Nick Fury dead at the end of this series? Is he going to live through this series, right? Samuel L. Jackson is, I think, 70 something, actually, which is shocking. But he's been in this character for a long time, and we're now seeing in this phase, right, the characters, the actors that we've known and loved from the beginning, and that they reach the end of their contract, or they want to do something else, or they just want to change their mode. So at the end of this series, are we going to see a heroic end for Nick Fury? And unfortunately, I think the answer, or no, not unfortunately, I don't want to see this character around. I like Nick Fury. But unfortunately, I think because we can see the slate ahead and because we can see the trailers ahead, I think Nick Fury appears in the Marvels.
Oh,
So,
well, now I'm relieved.
right? So I don't think we've got that happening, which I guess is good, but then I guess it ends up being just disappointing story wise that I already kind of think that one of those possible outcomes is off the table, because not that it was spoiled in the trailer necessarily, but Nick Fury appears there, or maybe it's a different Nick Fury. Maybe the captive. Yeah, this is a rabbit hole of this to go down. So I don't know how it ends. I do hope there's not. I do hope that Emilia Clarke can continue in the MCU. It'd be nice for her to be a part of this world, but I don't. I don't know. Okay, how much pressure is there on the show to be a hit, considering the lackluster reception to Ant-Man 3?
I'll say, Jimmy Boy, it's a little bit of apples and oranges because Disney Plus versus theater release. So a little bit of apples and oranges, yet simultaneously, MCU's, yes, as the MCU has aged, they're not yet 25 on the chronological calendar of the MCU proper, but they are at current, showing that they're a half step or a step slower than what they were. If the character of Nick Fury is 3 steps behind in the mental chess game of it, then so also does that apply to the overall Marvel vibe, the overall Marvel tone as we sit right here today. But maybe they'll be able to turn it back on. So could you put Jim's question up?
How much?
My terrible short term. Okay, so lackluster. Yeah, so we could look at it as apples to oranges, but if we're going to look at apples to apples, you're only as good as your last at bat. And right now, we're just one episode out of the last at bat of Ant-Man, but yeah, they definitely want to get some. And I don't want to go full on into the others, but so DC is also, just in brief to acknowledge, DC is also in need of some home run hitters up to the plate. So yeah, but you can't stay at your peak for forever. So I mean, look at any other franchise. If we're going to look at other franchises that have had many entries over time, starting from the 60s or what have you, Planet of the Apes, some of those charted better than others. James Bond, some of those charted better than others. So if you're going to have a long-standing franchise across many years, across many decades, some of your stuff's going to hit, then there will be a dip, and then many franchises find a way to hit a significant resurgence. So I would anticipate that is the future of Marvel. Also, I anticipate the next Avengers movies are going to be really well put together, and both fan pleasing and critic pleasing, and box office success.
Yeah, they're definitely. I think there is an increasing pressure on this show and all of these superhero movies. I feel as though there is a saturation point that seems to be coming up here. Yeah, I agree. It's a great question. And you know, unfortunately, so I saw The Flash last weekend, and I had low expectations. We could talk at length about Ezra Miller and their issues. But overall, I thought it was a good movie. Not great, not the best comic book movie, superhero movie of all time, but I thought it was a good movie. And but you know, it what it went down 70%, 70+% in the box office this week. It does seem to suggest that there's fatigue of this genre, unfortunately. Um, and SSW Network asks, what do you guys think needs to happen to regain its luster? You know, so I was thinking, unfortunately, and maybe it's just sort of where storylines are at right now. Um, the multiverse is fun, right? All of the different outcomes are entertaining, but now we've got uh, the MCU multiverse. We've got the Spider Verse. We've got whatever we call the DC equivalent of the multiverse. Um, we've and then actually, I felt like the best execution of the multiverse story was in Everything Everywhere All at Once instead of any of these superhero movies. It was like the more interesting. I mean, you have a world with hot dog fingers. You're like, what the heck is that? You know, and so I think getting away from or figuring out where to advance the storyline beyond this, because too many of these franchises are using that storyline at the same time. It's like the multiverse all at once. It's just it's
Multiverses.
and then but what also comes along with it is you lack the stakes. I think there's not that grounding about, you know, if something bad happens, there's consequences, and instead we can now go to a different universe where um, Gwen Stacy's dad's still alive, you know, or some other universe where Gamora is still lives, or you can bring this Gamora into this other multiverse. You know, so the stakes seem porous because, okay, well, we can just reboot it and that's fine. Yeah. So I think figuring out ways to get it more, and maybe that's actually why I like the Secret Invasion story. Figuring out ways to get it back to humans on Earth interacting with superheroes. I think that could be a path. But then also, yeah, we need a thing other than the convenience of the multiverse.
And I'll answer the question in agreement with what you're saying. You know, coaches coach, players play. We need some solid. Feige remains Feige, but I'll
Mhm.
say whoever's at the scripting, we need some solid. I guess I'm answering at the 101 level. We need some solid script and a pairing of actors, an acting staff that's going to be able to take the magic off the paper and add a little something special onto it. And I'm going to speculate that Deadpool #3 is going to be a good bump in general to goodwill with the casual movie fan again. And I absolutely predict there will be a resurgence, but it's just right. They do need to. It's not guaranteed that there will be a resurgence. They still need to use all the same techniques that have worked for them as they were building the universe in the first place.
Yep. No, absolutely. And yeah, grounded stories, as Jim Campbell says. And yeah, I have a ton of thoughts on the DCU multiverse as well. Um,
That's not just another show. That's another series of
oh
shows.
man, yeah. Again, I enjoyed The Flash. The final little sequence, Mr. C, will blow your mind, but it is kind of rough at times as I ride. And just one of Jim Campbell's comments here. I just worry that the budgets will be tight now. Yeah, that's right. It feels as though we're in a different world with movies, or excuse me, just production in general, where it's truly finance dictating creative. And I say that meaning there's a news yesterday that Prodigy, the latest Star Trek animated series, is being taken off the platform. All of it will be gone, and without having physical media or any other type of distribution strategy for the stuff, when they delete it from the streamer, it's gone, and it's for a tax write-off. It's for business finance related benefits. So I think there's this shift, unfortunately, where big companies are looking for options. Can they just simply delete stuff for the tax write-off, or just coming into new productions? Yeah, I would not be surprised if the budgets got that much tighter.
And Jim's notes caused me to reflect on Star Trek season 3. A 5-year mission that turned into a 3-year mission instead. Budget cuts impacted Star Trek in the 60s on the television. Batman, the Adam West, Bill Dozier, again, mid-60s. Same thing by season 3. Budget cuts were, ratings dipped, so budget cuts came into place, but then budget cuts made it difficult to engage the audience then. So it gets to be a bit of a vicious cycle. But again, both of those shows had peaked really high. So you can't, again, stay at the top of the mountain all the time and everything you do.
Yeah. Oh man, are we actually gonna end this thing on a downer?
No, man. Let's give some notes here. Let's go cinematography. Let's go setup. Right? Was it cool to see in there Maria Hill speaking to Nick Fury? Well, I thought we were in the practice of telling the truth while we played chess. That's so referential of off-panel or off-camera stuff between them, like character development, economy of words, setting up a whole lot of things there. And then let me even go the early on scene, so that the first chase, right? In comics, you got to have some training thing or a misunderstanding before you get to, in an individual comic, before you get to the big battle scene toward the end of the comic. So similar in that first chase, now you're going up the stairway and the lights pop. So then the first floor lights come on and you're racing up the stairways. The second floor lights come on. That was, not only was that good cinematography, but I'll say that was good symbolism, and credit to the wife for saying that was good cinematography. Also, that's good symbolism because you're trying to shine a light on this mystery and increasingly shine more light on it, elevate your game higher up. What is going on here? Who is the Skrull? Who is the LMD? Who is the real deal? So this series, we got 5 more episodes to enjoy, and I am on board for it. There we go.
There you go. Thank you for bringing that energy back up. I appreciate it, Mr. C. Yeah, I enjoyed this episode. I have a lot of questions. Some things seem out of character about Nick Fury. Could he not be? I think he is actually a human. I think it is the Nick Fury that we know and love. But a lot of questions, and I think it's addressing something that I've looked for, a human-based story in the MCU, although I know the Skrull, but terrestrial-based story in the MCU. I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to seeing where this story goes. All right.
Mike, closing thoughts on the credits. Yeah. Watch.
Oh, yeah. Do it.
Here. So here we go. It's good. Here, Sam Gambino, samgambino.com. Let Marvel reach out to us, Sam Gambino, because this is some pretty good design work here, right here. Let Marvel go to Etsy and get themselves some Jason Westlake on the Etsy. Let Marvel take a consult with Nicole Hoff and get some consult on the design of the opening credits. It's good to be. And here, let me get the Fanboy Cantina T-shirt proper highlighted back up in there. So hey, there's plenty of fun stuff to keep coming around, and I'm looking forward to the other 5 episodes. I'm looking forward to having a summer of Fanboy Cantina business. I'm looking forward to clowning around on Mr. C Dives In on my own channel, eating hot dogs and looking at other fun summer events and this and that. So let's enjoy summer 2023. Green light, Skrull green light, or traffic green light. Let's enjoy what's coming around.
It is great to be alive. It's great to be alive. Yeah. Hey, so I'm going to do the shameless plug. So thank you all for watching and being a part of the chat and having fun with us, sharing a little bit of your Sunday with the two of us here and everybody else in the chat. So thank you for being here. Mr. C Dives In had on your channel, Mr. C Dives In, you had this great chat with Nanette. So that was not maybe the best screen grab, but that was a lot of fun. That was a lot of fun that you had.
Nanette was a really fun guest just yesterday. Prior to Nanette, Sam Gambino, also a fun guest. Warner Todd, is it Huston? Or I should ask Warner how to say his last name right. Warner, also a character. And again, to kick it all off, Dave, terrordaves.com on the blog. It's a wealth of opportunity, a wealth of entertaining conversation that we've been able to have on the Svenology series with all these dynamite guests. Again, thanks to Campbell and thanks to Junkyard for jumping in, and thanks to our other two commenters, to Pete and to Nick. I don't know them, but hey, it's great to be around good stuff.
No, with Pete and Nick, they are exponentially more polished than us. But the fabulous channels, fabulous content. And so if you're watching, if you could do me a favor, go over to the SSW network to check out the Around the Galaxy and Podcast of the Wills, and also have Chris Ryans from Bro Axiom there. So definitely, please go to their channel, help them get to 1,000 subscribers, because they are well on the path. And they also just have tremendous guests, and they do a live call-in show thing, which we could do actually on this thing.
I'm good for that.
Yeah, we could do that. We could do that sometime. And I feel like we would have to prepare more, but nonetheless, yeah. But yeah, no. Thank you again, Pete, for and Nick for being here. Much appreciated. All right. Well, Mr. C, thank you. This was a treat. It's been a long time since we've done one of these things.
Always good to be sitting in this chair on either of the channels, and today real good to be co-host and hanging out on Fanboy Cantina.
Oh, much appreciated. All right. Thank you so much, everybody, for watching. Do all the YouTube-y things, like, share, subscribe, whatever the heck it is. We'll see you next time. Thanks for watching. This has been the Fanboy Cantina. Take care. Bye.